All right, so I want to talk about arbitraging, and I really want to focus on, I want to talk about who's to blame in this situation, but more importantly, I don't want to make it about who's to blame. I want to make it about where do you go from here. Now, arbitraging, by the way, this is the crypto browser I'm currently using, currently earning about 15 to 20,000 Satoshi per day, totally passive, and that's growing. Links down in the description. But right now, arbitraging is, they're having some problems. And if you're part of this community, I'm sorry that you're having problems. I want to talk about who's to blame for what's going on, and I want to talk about how this occurs from a psychological standpoint, because I think it's important to understand how we respond to opportunities and how do we get to this place. Because if cryptocurrency and blockchain and decentralization, if that's ever going to make any headway in the financial system, then it's important that we as citizens on this planet, citizens of the blockchain, it's important that we understand what happens and how this whole thing gets corrupted. Now, we don't know yet what's going to happen with arbitrage. But if you're just on the outside looking in, typically, I mean, and you're not biased. There are a lot of things that's occurred, and right now everything is just circumstantial. There's been recent developments where David Peterson has shown some transactions, and he called it the A-bot. And we'll get to that in a moment, because again, if you're looking for confirmation, if you're looking for proof that, and you're biased in your hunt, and we're all biased, by the way, so the goal is to do your best to be unbiased. But if you have a financial bias already, then you can be like, yeah, that could be right. Yeah, that could make sense. And you know what? You're right, it could. But we'll get to that in a moment. If you just pay attention to if this was a scam, if it was, then the way scams operate is they take more money in than they ever pay out. And you never fully get your money back, or you never get your Ethereum back. And not everybody loses equally in a scam. There's always winners and losers. The first winners are the perpetrators of the scam, and that's really who's to blame, but we'll get to that. Because I don't think all of you watching this video, you're not responsible for what's happening. And I don't think the majority of YouTubers are responsible. The people who are talking about it, who promoted this, I don't think they're responsible either, because they had no way of knowing. If you invested and lost money, you had no way of knowing either. You were biased, and you probably wanted to believe that there was a platform. And again, there is still a slim chance there could be. Yes, I have said that I thought this thing was going to end by the 21st of January. And there's a slim chance that I could be wrong. But if you're unbiased, just think about a few things here. Think about the recent changes. Think about every change that has come up. The tokens, the way they're buying and selling the tokens, okay. Any scam takes in more than it pays out. Right now, if you pay attention, everything from the blockchain exchange that was supposed to be so incredible, and there was all these reasons for why it was incredible. Those reasons could all be valid, but one of the things that the exchange also did was it kept ETH in the system. It didn't allow you to make withdrawals for the ETH the way that you want to, and it slows down withdrawals right now. You can't withdraw. There's a tremendous amount of sell pressure, and it clogs up the exchange. That tells you right there, by the very foundation, they're not wanting the price to drop, because if the price drops, they don't have the ability to pay out the same. So, and you don't have the ability to withdraw the same. You're stuck waiting. You can only withdraw as there's new money coming in. And that's the way it works right now. You can only withdraw, and if there's not new money coming in, you can't withdraw. And it stopped the quote-unquote undercutting. And there was actually this, whoever started that narrative, undercutting, that is, oh my goodness, that is a huge red flag in a decentralized cryptocurrency space that is led by a free market. I asked a buddy of mine, who I believe is in this platform, and I said, and he's more in tune to, what's going on and everything. He's not on YouTube talking about it or anything, but he's someone who just, he's in the platform. And I said, hey, do you know what this undercutting thing's all about? And as soon as he told me, yeah, it's about buying tokens on an exchange, on an external exchange for cheaper, and then, bringing them over to the platform. And I was like, wait a minute, it's a token sold on an exchange. The community wanted it sold on an exchange. Yes, that's right. But they're telling you don't buy them cheaper on the exchange? That didn't make that makes no sense. It doesn't support the community. No, if you buy them on the exchange, you're not paying ETH to the platform. Whoever's perpetrating this scam does not make money on the tokens being sold on an exchange. But when you put ETH into the platform, you're supposed to get a certain amount of tokens for your ETH. Now, one thing that would be interesting, and I don't know, you need to go check the blockchain, make certain that you're getting every token you're paying for, but those tokens are at a much higher price. What stops someone from going to the exchange, buying them cheaper and bringing them in? You're paying, say, $15 an ARB. What stops them paying $9 an ARB and bringing it over and selling it to you? You would have no way of knowing they were doing that. Where are the ARBs coming from? They're supposed to be paying you out anyway. Here's the thing. If you didn't want to believe, if you weren't already biased, then you would have to say that what arbitraging is supposed to be doing, using an automated bot, and they're supposed to be earning percentages that are far higher than anybody has ever earned in the world, in the history of markets, since the foundation of anybody trading. Nobody has successfully, the greatest hedge fund managers in the world, the smartest traders in the world, the best of the Harvard graduates, the best of the MIT guys, the best of the best programmers. You do realize that, right? Like, nobody ever has been able to create a trading bot which they're claiming that they've created. And maybe they have. I mean, there is a slim possibility, a very slim possibility. So let's just say that they did create that bot. Who did it? What is their pedigree? What is their background? How many other bots did they create? Have you asked that question? This cannot be their one and only miracle. Like, this starts becoming impossible to believe. Like, just, even if you wanted to believe it, like, if you ask the hard questions, it just starts to becoming impossible. So how in the world do people start to fall for this stuff? They're biased. We all want to believe it's what if. Somebody's getting paid. Look, I have absolutely been on the other side of this thing. I've been on your side. But it's important to understand, and there's a lot of people who've been in this place before. They were, in every lending platform, every coin that came along, like everyone. And they see it as a form of gambling. I hear people say this all the time. Oh, it's just gambling. It's just gambling. Okay, that's fine. That is a percentage of people. That's not what the average person who's brand new to crypto finds when they come to arbitraging. So let's go back to things that keep Ethereum in the platform. Now, to make withdrawals, there's supposed to be some updates. To make withdrawals, there's going to be added fees potentially. They already have added some fees. Now you get to pay monthly. There's all these fees and all this stuff being added that they say is all about basically helping maintain the price on the exchange. But what it really does is gives people another reason to pull less money out because you're paying more money in, whether it's in the form of fees, whether it's because you're a pro membership or a pro plus or whatever they're calling it. So there's all these reasons to keep money in. And that's just from an outsider looking in is what I'm seeing. Because, I put this video up where I said ARB was going to end by the 21st of January. And I mean the 31st. I just pulled that out of thin air. And the reason I pulled it out of thin air, though, was because it's important to understand the conduct that we're seeing in the past week or two. All of it is the same type of conduct that I've watched. I have watched one scam platform go down after another over the years. And over the years being in business, there are so many sort of, smart people that will come to you. I had a buddy of mine that was a CEO of a large company, like they did, hundreds of millions of dollars. And he talks to me one time, we were talking on the phone, he's like, hey, are you looking for somewhere to park some cash? And I said, I'm always looking for somewhere to park some cash. What are you talking about? And he was talking about in a local networking group. His wife was starting a small business in town. A local networking group. He went to a networking meeting, and this guy, they have a financial company in town, and they're doing these short-term loans, and the percentages that they were paying out were ridiculous. It was like 1.5% to 3% a month, and it was paying it back every month. And I said, man, listen, how exactly are they getting this? And he explained, some convoluted, short-term cash flow system, how they're hedging with the bank, etc. And I said, look, that might be the case, but I can't wrap my brain around that. And those numbers just sound way crazy. I said, so why don't you test it out? Let me know how it works for you. About 6 months later, I said, hey, whatever happened with that company? And he's like, oh yeah, I don't really know what happened. I think they went out of business. I said, did you ever lend them any money? Did you get in with that investment? He's like, well, yeah, we messed around with it a little bit, and he didn't want to talk about it. I get it. It's kind of embarrassing. But it can happen to anyone. It's always like, well, what if it does work? I mean, listen, back when BitConnect was around, those of you that were a part of that thing or you were around when it was happening, when you saw someone like a 17-year-old Crypto Nick grow a YouTube channel to over 100,000 subscribers, and this guy is, pulling in crazy money, I think like over $1,000 a day, and he was making withdrawals and everything, and you're watching it, you can't help but wonder, what if this is working? It's been paying out for so long. What if it was working? And then you find out later that it was a scam. So then something else comes up and you're like, but what if? What if this is real? And there is always that what if. There is always a percent that, but the more you look at something, the more doubt you have, the more problems that are taking place. So with arbitraging, for example, and I want to get to something. People say it can't be a scam because we know David Peterson's face. Listen, stick with me on this video. I'm going to show you that doesn't matter. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to give you the best proof anybody can ever give you. So stick with me. So I put down January 31st. This thing's going to go down. The reason I said that is because just look, they're having trouble paying, and all these things go down the same way. And some of them go down fast, and some of them go down. BitConnect went down kind of fast, actually. Like they had a thing on the website like this once where the website wasn't working, and then it came up, and then it was supposed to be like under DDoS attack, and then that came up, and then it stayed online for just a few days, and then it was basically done for good. And the website never went down. I think you can still go to a BitConnect website. The website is still there, just the token isn't exchanged anywhere. It's delisted, and the token, they basically paid everybody out in tokens. So think about that. They suddenly they didn't pay you out in Ethereum. And that's another question. Why aren't you paid out in Ethereum? Why? Wouldn't it be easier since the trading bot's trading, that they just paid you out in Ethereum? Why aren't they paying out in Ethereum? But neither here nor there. So then, anytime you see that there are things happening that give clues that there's cash flow issues, that's how you know it's going to end. And listen, this thing right here, I see this right here, and I'm like, this is a stall tactic. Again, this is an outsider looking in. This is a stall tactic. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I said yesterday, I told myself this is about a 50-50 shot that this comes back online. Today it's still down. And I'm like, oh, this is like an 80% shot it doesn't come back online. And I want to explain to you why. And I know it's hard mentally and emotionally to be defensive to what I'm saying, but just think about this for a moment. And again, we'll get to the arbitrage YouTubers in a moment. But think about this. If you were running a company that was as successful as this is supposed to be, and you were smart enough to create the greatest arbitrage trading bot that has ever existed in the human of mankind, would you be making this many business missteps? Particularly here's a very simple misstep. Did you not have any idea that this website was going to go down? Who took the time to type up this announcement? Before typing up this announcement or immediately after, why would you not go create a video and put it on the official, the official Discord or whatever they use, Telegram? Why would you not do that right away? Make a video explaining, hey, here's what's going to happen. We expect we're going to be down for a day, or we expect we're going to be down for 3 days, but just so you know, it's not a big deal. We expect it. Why would you not communicate that way? I mean, that tells me that there's an issue. And what is happening, the way communication is happening, and this is where I really hate it for the YouTube arbitraging community, because they don't even, I think they might be getting played for suckers. And that everything happens in this weird grassroots sort of way. Like it's supposed to be a company, it's supposed to be a corporation. This isn't a ragtag band of fellas here. But the way it happens is there's these one-on-one conversations. One guy says he spoke to David. Another guy says he spoke to David. Someone else said they spoke to somebody who said they spoke to David. That's almost a rumor mill then. But why doesn't David just make a video explaining exactly why it's down? Like exactly. And why didn't he make that video first? Why would it come back after the fact? I mean, I suspect I know what's going on behind the scenes, but it's just speculation. I don't know exactly, and I've got my own questions, by the way, on how this is going to shake out. And I want to say this. A lot of the people in the community would be like, this is just FUD, this is just FUD. It's not FUD. It's asking legitimate questions. I cannot stand. Any of you who follow my channel, you know that I oftentimes try to look at the positives and the minuses, the pros and the cons, even of projects that I have invested in. I have been on my channel, I am very positive on Tron, but I've also been very negative on Tron, for example. I have been positive on smart contracts, and I've been negative on smart contracts. And no matter what, the moment you're negative about something that someone's a part of, you're fudding. And it's like, FUD's been this catch-all, it's like some sort of immunization that, you're discredited. Oh, you're fudding. No one's not fudding. You can't get your Ethereum out. That's not fudding. That is a reality. It has become progressively harder to get your Ethereum out as time went on, to the point that you just couldn't get it out any longer. I mean, you just got to ask yourself, what is going on? I mean, what is going on? So the YouTubers that are part of this, I think they're getting taken advantage of. And who's to blame? Well, whoever's perpetrating this, but I don't think the YouTubers are the blame. And I want to be very clear here. One of the things that I find disturbing is how blame is quickly placed on others. And as humans, we never take responsibility. There's not one YouTuber that twisted your arm that told you to be a part of this. The reality is many of them are also victims. That's a reality. Many of them are going to lose heavily. Heavily. Not all of them, I get that, but many of them are. And if they come out ahead, then what's the difference? The truth is, until the platform went down, you were envious of that person. They got 100,000 in, they got 400,000 in. The reality is you were envious of them until this platform went down. And now, well, they made money, I lost money, so they're at fault. No, they're only at fault because they got in before you did. They didn't make you get in. And the reality is, some people who don't have YouTube channels wish they did have a YouTube channel. And so let's just be real honest. Part of who's to It's us, not us as in me because I didn't get into this platform, but it's us as in the people who make decisions. We're responsible for our decisions. Nobody made you do it. Now, I will tell you the one caveat. If somebody got paid extra, quote unquote, as a spokesman, so to speak, then, I mean, that stinks. That's, especially if they knew. The problem is it looks like they knew something that the rest of the community didn't know. So if somebody got paid extra, that is a bit of a problem. And it's a problem if they got paid extra and they're participating in the platform. Believe it or not, there have been laws, there have been court cases where spokespeople were paid to promote products and the products were bad. Like this has happened in the weight loss and nutritional industry in the past. People have promoted, like went on TV, like celebrities and stuff. They've promoted like, a certain product. The product, come to find out, was a scam, or it had some product, it had steroids in it or whatever, and it was illegal. That's happened, by the way. And the celebrity and person who promoted it, but they never took it. They were never a customer. They were just a paid promoter. There's been court cases where they have found them not guilty because, people will sue the company and then they'll sue the celebrity promoters. And the promoters have been found not guilty. But when you start participating in the platform and you're paid as a promoter on the side, that does start to become, that's problematic. That is a problem. But at the end of the day, we got to take responsibility for our actions. And some of these YouTube guys, man, I feel bad for them. Not like I feel bad for them, like I feel sorry for them. That's not what I'm saying. They're humans too, make their own decisions. But they're going to be hurt. They're going to be hurt. They fell for this the same way. And yeah, they're up there beating the baton. And there's like, you got to have trust in arbitrage. You got to believe. You got to trust David. First of all, you don't got to trust anybody but the blockchain. The problem is arbitrage breaks those rules because they basically took the blockchain and they corrupted the idea. That's how it's looking right now. And I'm going to get to David Peterson in a moment. But it's important to understand that those YouTubers who are like, those admin moderator people, most of them are all volunteers. They got excited by this thing. They bought the t-shirts, literally in some cases. They bought the t-shirts, they believed in it. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's walking around with an arbitraging tattoo. Like people believe in it. They wanted to believe in it. And it was paying and it worked for so long. And unfortunately, the reason all scams work is because the single biggest proof is people are getting paid. Unfortunately, every scam pays until the day it doesn't. And people are shocked and they're hurt. They're crushed. Crushed. And it's unfortunate. So don't be part of those people blaming the YouTuber out there, especially when he was just some guy or gal who got in before you did. They started making money. They believed in it. They got offended when somebody else said something that sounded negative, so they come out and made a video about that. Don't believe them, they're wrong because X, Y, and Z. And every time they made that video, they're getting psychologically bought in. Meaning they're believing in arbitraging. It has to be real because he said this and that's wrong. It has to be real because. The challenge is, I personally don't believe that anybody actually saw an ABOT work on a mass scale. And I will go as far as to believe, I don't think they actually saw an ABOT. I do believe that YouTubers probably saw. If they didn't, dude, that is next level shady. But I think most of the guys and gals who claim they saw it, I think it's been all guys, but claim they saw the ABOT. I do believe that they saw a bot. I don't believe they were aware of what they were looking at. And I don't believe they had any proof. No one, if David was going to show them the bot, the ABOT, he could have also said, hey, look, it's running right here on Binance. Watch it run. And I think they might have saw, a trade or two, a transaction or two. I don't think they actually saw it running live with, hundreds or thousands of ETH. Now, I want to talk about something. I want to get to David Peterson in a moment. Unless that guy is the ultimate patsy, then he is probably responsible. Again, unless there's somebody else, and he's just the mouthpiece. But it looks like, he's positioned himself as the one responsible. This last video that he put out, I watched. I've not followed anything that David's done, and I actually haven't followed so much in this community. And I started paying more attention the bigger it's gotten, and I thought, Oh my goodness. The reality is I'm over here doing damage control for arbitraging. I don't have a thing in it at all. But I don't want people to, I want them to know there is hope in the crypto space. And I'm going to give you some hope. I'm going to tell you where to go from here, where you can go right now while you're waiting to see if you're able to get any of your Ethereum out of this platform. I'm going to show you what you can do to help prevent yourself from being in this position again. And I'm going to give you probably one of the best resources on YouTube for understanding cryptocurrency and the blockchain. What is its real purposes? Who are the real movers and shakers in this space? What's happening? You know, what are the things to look for to help you find good projects potentially? But let's get back to David. So David said in this video, and I did watch the video where he was going to show these transactions, and he shows a lot of Ethereum moving around and a lot of Bitcoin moving around. The problem is he doesn't show you nothing. He just showed anybody could duplicate that. If they have as much Bitcoin and Ethereum as has supposedly probably went into this platform, a number which nobody really knows how much has been paid into the platform. Nobody really knows that number. But he shows a lot of big transactions moving around. But that doesn't prove that it's a bot. I mean, it could very well be a human trader. It could be David for all you know. You don't know who that is. And why not show this months ago? But again, he didn't really show anything. What he did, I think, is he did a little bit of damage control. I don't know how it goes down for him if it comes out that he's the main person running this. I don't know his exit plan. And that's why some people are like, oh, it can't be a scam because we know his face, we know where he lives, blah, blah, blah. It can't be a scam. That doesn't matter. I'm going to prove it to you beyond belief here in a moment. But I don't know his exit plan. I think that maybe I kept trying to, I've watched and I've paid more attention lately because I'm like, how is he going to get out of this? Because everyone who starts a Ponzi scheme, which if it's a scam, that's what it is a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scam. Every person who starts it, I think that you have to be a special human being to intentionally. Most Ponzi schemes, I don't think, start out intentionally as Ponzi schemes. And I can actually prove that to you too in a moment. I'm going to show you something that's going to be cool. I mean, you're going to just spend the next several hours watching it. Some of you are just going to love what I'm going to show you in a moment. But I don't think most people start out from day one and think about how can I construct this Ponzi scheme. And if they do, they're not as visible as someone like David is. Now, they may have plans. I don't know if he planned to create a bot. I don't know if he had a trading technique that was working and he just thought, let me find a way to get some more money in. I don't know. That could have been what happened. But either way, he's in a pickle right now because he's misrepresented everything if it is a scam. And he's got to find a way to get out. And the only way I'm thinking, like, is he trying to keep them, is right now, is he stalling? Is he like relocating? Is he, trying to move? I mean, is somebody keeping an eye on his house? Like someone got private investigators? I'm certain that somebody already has hired private investigators in the community. And I'm certain that somebody's already hired lawyers. Like this stuff is already going on. That's another thing about David that raised a red flag. Supposedly he got this, they called it Arb Independence Day. Someone made a comment and supposedly that was the day he told everybody to use VPNs. No reputable leader of a company, none would say, hey, arbitraging is not legal in your state, so use a VPN. And I did not actually hear that. That's just what someone said in my comments. And if that's true, nobody would do that. He would never want to be on record as actually saying that to somebody, ever. So hopefully that didn't happen. But because again, if he's smart enough to create the greatest trading algorithm in the history of humankind, then to be sure he wouldn't be crazy enough to actually say, go get a VPN and break the law as a leader of a company. You cannot do that like that. No one would do that. And in where he did the video where he was talking about the big transactions, there's something he said in there that raised a red flag. He said that was before we found out we were going to get a license. I was in the middle of drinking something, watching, and I almost choked as the drink came through my nose. And I thought, wow, this, like, that was one, every now and again I see a red flag and I'm like, oh, this ain't good. This might be a scam. Oh my goodness, this is a scam. Yep, this might be a scam. As soon as I heard that, I thought, okay, this is a scam. I have been so hesitant because I know this is bad when it goes down. But when I heard that, I thought, yeah, gosh, you would not say that. Listen, I am more willing to say 100% that Arb, I'm more willing to say that they are not getting any sort of a license in the financial sector at all. At all. At all. Ever. Ever. Even if it's not a scam, even if they are trading this thing comes back live in a few days and the exchange has changed and everything's super amazing. The reason they don't want to go through a free floating, anyway, neither here nor there. Even if this thing comes back, they are not getting licensed. They are not ever. You understand the government can't even figure out if cryptocurrency is a stock yet or not. But the moment you start looking at arbitraging, it absolutely is functioning exactly as an unregistered security. It meets the definition practically of an unregistered security. There is no way. There's no way they're getting a license. None. Before they even got a license, even if everything's, beautiful and on the up and up, they've not been approved yet for a license at all. At all. I would bet my life they've not been approved for any sort of they might have got some certificate that's worthless, but they not actually have been licensed in all 50 states or by the federal government to do any sort of anything related to trading, financial markets, nothing. Some of the biggest financial firms in the world are trying to get ETFs and they can't. And BAC is still trying to figure out how to come online and they can't. Decentralized, well, I think it's Fork Delta. The guy who started Fork Delta got in trouble for starting a decentralized exchange. What do you think they're going to do to David Peterson, even if this is on the up and up? He has an exchange. It's not even decentralized. It's an unregistered exchange. Like, my goodness. He's not jumped through the hoops that Coinbase has jumped through to become, registered. Okay, Coinbase is trading fiat. He's not trading fiat. It doesn't matter. He's also given a return. Anyway, by the way, this is true for a lot of things in the crypto space. I think a lot of the coins, masternodes will eventually probably come into fire, and I invest in masternodes, but there's a reason I'm not starting a masternode because I think they're going to become under fire eventually. I hope they're not, but eventually they are. Bitcoin's going to be coming under fire eventually. I got a whole video I'm going to do on my channel about cryptocurrency and about some of the headwinds facing it. And one of it is regulations. And believe it or not, one of the problems with Bitcoin that I see is if it ever actually gets considered a currency, there's a whole slew of additional regulation that they can use to fight it at that point. I'll talk about that on another video. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it. I want to talk about two things real quick. I want to talk about where to go right now. First of all, sit and wait and pray that this thing comes back online, and pray that everything you biasly want to believe is accurate, because you can't do anything else anyway. When it comes online, absolutely withdraw. I do not care what they say about the platform and the sell pressure. It should not matter. Listen, if this A-bot is over there moving away, it doesn't matter that people pull money out if it's really trading. It literally doesn't matter. Because that algorithm, if it's as good as it's supposed to be, as it should be able to successfully trade if there's $50 in, or there's $5 million in, or $50 million in. In fact, it should be trade better when there's smaller amounts. If you understand arbitraging in real life and you understand slippage in real markets, then you understand it's actually easy to arbitrage when there's less money in. I mean, that's the reality. The way this should work, and this is what I'm not seeing, if there's real arbitraging, and I've done a little bit of arbitraging in real life. If there's real arbitraging taking place, then what it seems like to me is David would know, hey, I'm operating kind of an unregulated space. It's going to get regulated at some point. I'm going to have to be careful. I need to make money. I need to keep some powder dry. I'm going to have to hire some lawyers. I may have to pay some fees like the guy at Fork Delta did at some point, but it's okay. There's a lot of opportunity in the market now. It's a very volatile market, so I'm still going to move forward with it. I need to kind of keep this a little bit small. So if it goes up and down, that's fine. And if people sell, that's good. And the reason you would keep it small is because you want to keep it going. You want, in other words, as long as it's small, it's easier to make trades. The bigger it is, the less trading opportunities there are going to be. And it would be a self-correcting market. A lot of people, all of a sudden, people are going from 1% a day to 0.1% a day or less. Then all of a sudden, less people would, more people would be selling out of the platform, so to speak. The price of the tokens would be going up and down. The problem with the price of the tokens going up and down and allowing people to get in and out of the platform in a totally free market is people would end up leaving. Some of them would leave net losers, and that would upset them. And it's difficult to show consistent, steady, quote-unquote, passive profits. And the earnings and the passive profits that arbitraging is supposed to be earning are just so astounding, it's mind-blowing. And it's a red flag because it's just too good and too perfect up until now. So David moved a lot of money around. That doesn't mean anything, but it doesn't really mean anything. It does mean that a lot of money has been taken in. It does show there's a lot of money there at the moment. How much could it make everybody whole if everybody withdrew in the platform? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. Here's another... Here's what I'll tell you from now. Try to get your money out. Don't wait. Don't succumb to the pressure of what people are saying. Try to pull your money out. And if you get your money out and you're like, I want to leave it in, I'm not telling you what to do as a promoter because I'm not in this thing at all. But that's your call at that point. I would not promote this to one more person. I wouldn't tell one more person about this until things got at least level. In the meantime, where you can withdraw freely at any point in time on a free exchange. In the meantime, what I would be doing is I would study blockchain. I would come over here, and right here is one of the best YouTube channels. Andreas Antonopoulos is, let's just start watching this, and I'll tell you more about him in a moment.
When I've discovered it, I spent 4 months consuming as much as I could, except food. I lost 26 pounds on the highly inadvisable diet of obsession. These open, borderless, decentralized, censorship-resistant. And the reason it's so fascinating is because it isn't what it appears to be at first glance. Greece, Cyprus, Spain, Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil, India, Turkey, Pakistan, the Ukraine. What do these countries have in common?
Nice people.
One day you wake up and you discover that the banks are closed. Who benefits in the end? The banks.
I'll let you come watch this. I'll put the playlist. This whole playlist is awesome. Introduction to Bitcoin is amazing. Blockchain versus bullshit, thoughts on the future of money. These two alone are incredible. If you don't watch anything else, watch these two. And then I would go to this one right here. Unbelievable. Hard promises, soft promises, the currency wars, and Bitcoin's neutrality. Unbelievable. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that people need to be made aware of. And this is what I would use your time waiting for arbitrage to come back online. I would take some time and just start learning about this stuff. Bitcoin security, Bitcoin a new species of money, Bitcoin Lightning is streaming money. It's incredible stuff. Subscribe to his channel, hit the bell notification icon like I have. He has one of the most underrated YouTube channels that exists. Why he's not the largest YouTube Bitcoin channel, cryptocurrency channel, I don't know why he's not the largest. Well, I do know why. Because he doesn't talk about trading and making fast profits. He talks about the technology, and that's less exciting, but it's the most important part to understand. Listen, I do believe there is a chance to be able to make a tremendous amount of Bitcoin in this space. Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, I do believe that with everything in me. In fact, I have a video right here called, I'll put it in the card above, Will Bitcoin Reach $1 million? And I absolutely believe that Bitcoin will reach $1 million. But the reason that it will get there first and foremost is because of the technology. That's true with Ethereum. It's true with your altcoins. If they really go to the moon, it's going to be because of the technology. That's why they're going to get there. So I'll put this card above as well. You can watch it and see why I said that I think Bitcoin's going to make it go to 1 million or beyond. I want to talk about David Peterson for a moment. It's commonly said, but we know his face. We know his face, and he wouldn't, that wouldn't be wise or wouldn't be smart. I'm going to tell you that most cons that have ever occurred, it's only with the advent of the internet. And I realize that there's a sizable percentage of people in arbitraging that basically grew up with the internet. They don't really remember functioning without smartphones and without any form of internet. They don't remember. I mean, they were born in the 80s, they were born in the 80s or after, which means that the internet came online, sometime in the 90s, mid to late 90s. So most of their life, they didn't have that. As an adult, they've never functioned without the internet, ever. So when you start looking and you start learning about stuff, and you realize that there are a lot of nameless faces scams out there, but the biggest ones have almost always had a face to them. They've almost always had a face. And I'll prove that to you with two things. First of all, I'm going to put this channel at the end, on the end card of this video. It's a great channel to watch. You're going to find it fascinating. It's called American Greed. If you've never watched the show, I encourage you to watch it. And you're going to see some crazy, amazing scams that people do. All sorts. Like, watch this one right here. Listen to this. This is crazy.
Fascinated by the lottery. When the winner of a $16 million jackpot refuses to identify himself, officials suspect a rigged game.
Ding, ding, ding. Something is screwy.
It turns into the biggest lottery scam in American history.
He figured out a way to keep winning the lottery.
And later...
That's cool. He figured out a way to keep winning the lottery. You got to come watch some of these. You can spend hours. I mean, it's a fascinating show. I don't know if it's still in the air. I think it is. But it is a fascinating show. I've seen a lot of these at different times. I don't know if I've seen them all, but I've seen a lot of them. It's just fascinating to watch. It is very interesting. And people are smart in how they perpetrate some of this stuff. I mean, it's crazy, crazy. So I encourage you to check it out. But the reason I say check it out is because there's a name and a face with all of them. They all, almost none of these people are secretive and hiding. You don't know who they are on the internet. They're almost all of them. I say almost all because there may be one or two, but practically all of them have a name and a face. It's the guy that you go to church with. It's the respected businessman in town. I mean, and sometimes these scams go on for years. I mean, it's unbelievable. You're gonna love this. I mean, just for sheer entertainment purposes. Hopefully everything pans out with arbitrage, and David or whoever is gonna get like some sort of award for being, a financial genius. But who knows? Maybe they'll make enough money to solve world peace and get a Nobel Prize. I don't know, but that's how powerful arbitrage would be if it succeeds. If it succeeds at what they're supposed to succeed at, it's going to change the entire world as we know it by itself, single-handedly. I mean, yeah, the American government, like arbitrage, will get covered on mainstream media if it continues at its pace. Have you ever thought about how much money it should make over the course of like 5 years, 10 years? Like, I think someone said that David wanted this thing to go on for the next 10 years or something, or 5 years. If you just do the math on the rate that it was earning, if that continued, I mean, it gets bigger than the entire crypto market in just a few years. Like, literally. It's crazy, right? Like, if he's achieved that, it's going to be crazy. However, this for sheer entertainment purposes, one of these, I don't know where it's at. Bernie Madoff is in one of these. The interesting thing about Bernie Madoff, by the way, is people knew him. He had a face. He was well respected. He was liked. People loved him. His investors sung his high heavens. They tried to get other people to put their money with him because he performed so well for so long for them. So, I mean, he wasn't hiding. They knew where he lived. He had a house. He was an advisor at one point on for the one of the exchanges. Like, he wasn't hidden. So just the fact that you know who David is and you know where his house is and all that stuff, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I will say this, 100% accuracy. Even if arbitraging is legit, and you got to agree with me that the way it's getting managed does make it look less and less legit. And I want to say this, if you are an arbitraging YouTuber and you're having doubts, I know there's a lot of community pressure on you, but you should at least tell your audiences, look, I get it. It doesn't look good. Let's see what happens, but it doesn't look good. Let's see what happens, and it doesn't look good. One of the fundamentals in cryptocurrency you'll find out is, one thing that I've heard, let's trust David, or let's trust the community. The whole thing in cryptocurrency is you shouldn't have to trust anyone. That's the whole thing. If it was a real blockchain, again, I've already had the screen, come check out if it's real blockchain, there's no need to trust it. That's the whole point. Come check out Andreas Antonopoulos. But do this. Come just for fun, come watch this video. You're going to like it. Sit down, grab you something to drink, heck, get you something to eat. Just enjoy it. It's amazing.
New York City's housing crisis hits home.
Tenants are not seen as human beings. They're standing in the way of dollar signs.
The case of the landlord from hell.
Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
June 11, 2008, Lord's Cricket Field, London, England. American billionaire Alan Stanford stands proudly at the apex of his career. The banker is on the Forbes 400 list. He's been knighted Sir Alan Stanford by the Caribbean island of Antigua, where he lives. And strangely enough, for a man who grew up in Texas, Stanford is considered the world's #1 promoter of the game of cricket.
Stanford was all about creating this mystique, and cricket was the perfect vehicle for that.
The defining image of Stanford was landing in the middle of the most famous cricket field in Britain in his personal helicopter with a plexiglass box full of $20 million in cash that would go to the winner of some cricket match. This was very much the type of image that he'd like to project.
But the fun's over just 8 months later, when the Securities and Exchange Commission raids Stanford's Houston headquarters, shutting down operations in the U.S. and 13 other countries.
So I actually know this one. I did not invest in this, by the way, but I actually was very aware that this was going on before it got shut down. I did not necessarily know that it was crime. It had been shared with me. I can't remember if someone sent it to me as an investment or whatever, but he basically was doing some juicy investments. So there's just a lot of, crazy stuff that goes on, and it's fascinating what people get away with. But it's good to be hip to this stuff because you're less likely to become a victim later. Some of these are just incredible. I would just check them out. I think you're gonna just like learning about it, and it's pretty entertaining. I think they're in like 12 seasons, so it's a pretty big show on I guess CNBC. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope everything turns out well, and we have to take responsibility for ourselves. Don't blame, other YouTubers. Don't blame your friend if he told you about it. He told you about it because he believed in it. He didn't tell you about it because he was trying to, hurt you. Same thing with these YouTubers. Most of them, and I say most of them because I don't know about everybody, they got excited. They talked about it just like you talked about it. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Hey, I'll put this playlist down at the end of the screen. You can probably see it on your screen now. Go ahead and start watching it. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching.